We do not get to choose how we start out in life. We do not get to choose the day we are born, or the family we are born into, what we are named at birth, what country we are born in, and we do not get to choose our ancestry. All these things are predetermined by a higher power. By the time you are old enough to start making decisions for yourself, a lot of things in your life are already in place. It's important, therefore, that you focus on the future, the only thing that you can change. Idowu Koyenikan.
Welcome to the Lost Traveler Podcast. I'm your host, Henry Cameron Allen, and I am here with Charles D. Clark, my new friend and brother, and I'm very excited to have him here. He is a multiple award-winning actor, and he is a motivational speaker, among many other qualities that we are going to delve deeply into today. Charles, thank you for being here.
It's an honor, big brother. Thank you for having me, man. And I knew instantly we connected on social media. That's going to be a great thing, an epic moment. So I look forward to sharing some of the great things that God has done in my life, and also to extend our friendship and brotherhood to the great heights of this where we live in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I feel much the same way. The first thing I always ask my guests is to share in brief. It goes into deeper conversation, but share a little bit about your biography. What got you from point A to point B? What brought you here to this moment? You're in Virginia, right? You're based in Virginia?
Yes. Most of my upbringing was between Virginia and North Carolina, but most of North Carolina, especially where my testimony took place. But Virginia. My father died when I was 5. I turned 6. And him and my mother got married 2 weeks later, so it was very devastating. He died at a young age. He got to the military and was about to go back in. He was 31 when he died. Wow. Growing up, my mom tried to put me on all the extracurricular activities, like martial arts and boxing, and played football, wrestling, baseball. But, from a different perspective, when you're there, you're seeing the other kids, their dads, come on, son, you can make it home, or come on, son, kick them, punch. And it's like, my mom was there for most of the stuff, but you want to hear that manly voice. It wasn't there. So when I started kind of hanging around the streets, just from 13, 14-ish, there was guys out there who called me son, who gave me money, who, they was filling that void. And I was, and that's when I started getting to street activities during the gang, and became a goon enforcer. And even though I sold drugs here and there, and whatever, my main, my MO was a goon enforcer. So I was pretty much the guy who protected, the product, who protected, the leader of, whatever, and when you saw me unexpected, it was a bad day. The devil really had me on as a puppet. And I did that all the way till I was 21, going to 22, and then I got incarcerated for almost 8 years in prison. And my friend, my brother, this is where God really spoke to me, being away from the world that long. I never thought I was going to become an actor or a speaker. Never. It was no intentions. Honestly, when I was in prison, I didn't know what I was going to do when I came out. I was like, whatever it was, it can be things that I'm used to doing. My grandmother, who was my dad's mom, she didn't want to visit me the whole time I was in prison, because it was hurtful to her to see, her grandson, in prison. And then, of course, her oldest boy and oldest child was already gone. But the thing about it was, I had about 6 or 7 more months left in prison. She finally came. I never forget. It was my first time hitting 500 pounds in the weight bench. I never forget this. And she had a visit. And at this time I was in the camp. Once you start from like the medium, high to low, false penitentiary, when you do good on good behavior, your last typically 2 years, they put you at the camp, which is right beside the penitentiary. It's more, you got more accessibility to, outside. But I saw her walk across the visitor bridge, which goes from the warden's office, the main front office, to the business building. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's my grandma. I've been seeing her, 7 years from change. I mean, this silver lining hair, jet black eyebrows, still had that walk, still, I can imagine how she still smell like peppermint and lavender. I mean, that's the love of my life, man. Grandma's pretty much like a second mom. And I got off to put into my green outfit. Ain't too many things you can wear in prison, but gray sweats or your greens or whatever. So, but we keep it. You always have your fresh pair of stuff for the visit. So I had to be fresh for my grandma, super fresh. So I going inside the business room. My uncle and aunt was with her, of course. My uncle was seating her, and my aunt came to me real quickly. She says, "Look at me, nephew. Look at me real quick." So I'm looking at my, I said, "What? That's grandma. I want to see my grandma." So your grandma is dying. And I said, "What do you mean she's dying?" Your grandma has two brain tumors, the possible for a third one, and she says she also has dementia. And right now, your grandma thinks that you are your dad. And the doctor said that if you make her think anything else other than what she's already thinking, it'll put a strain on her condition. So that was a blow I wasn't ready for.
Wow.
In my head, I'm saying to myself, she's going to recognize me. So I go over there, being seated, and mind you, visit is usually typically between 2.5 to 3 hours, depends upon, the scheduling there, the COs and all that stuff. But as I sat there, I'm looking at my grandma. I said, "Hey, grandma, I miss you." And she says, "Hey, Bug, it's been a long time." Now, Bug was my dad's nickname. And my dad, he used to go to Golden Skillet Chicken every day, Monday through Friday from work. Because once he got in the military, he was a master mechanic. He would drop her off her 3-piece chicken with her biscuit, mashed potato gravy, and string beans and her tea. That was something he do every day. She just loved it. That was the thing they had. And she was like, "When are you going to bring my chicken to me? I ain't had in a long time." So I'm trying to not cry. I'm just like, I have to become the very hero that I've lost years ago.
Wow.
And look into the eyes of my grandma who's down right before my face. And it was so excruciating. I mean, the pain was unbearable. But I was able to, for the grace of God. So we went through a whole conversation. She was dialing in and out. She'll stay me sometimes. She'll touch my face. And, when you going to take the pig slop out? When we going to chop the corn? Bug, how you come in and do something? And I was like, "I'm coming, Mom, I'm coming." So as she left, she told the CO, she says, "When my son coming home? He didn't serve this country long enough." Because my dad was in the military, and she thought this was a military base. So when she left out, the CO, he wasn't crying, but his eyes was watered. You can tell he was trying to hold stuff in. He says, "Clark, come in." And I'm thinking, like, I know I ain't doing nothing wrong. I ain't got no contraband. I ain't trying to sneak nothing in. He says, he put his hands on my shoulder. He says, "Charles, whatever you do, when you got here, I don't know what you got planned. You need to be an actor. For you to sacrifice that moment from your grandma for her sake and the way she believed it, you need to be an actor." That was an Oscar moment. And I remember I was like, what is he talking about? And as soon as I walked out, I never forget, I vomited because then I was anxiety, about this experience. And I went in there, took a shower, cleaned myself up, and it just started resonating with me. And as I got closer, to getting out, I got a phone call. The warden called me to his office, and my grandma passed away. And she was on the list. When you get ready to leave prison, you have like up to 3 people who can be there to pick you up. And she was on that list. So it was like, whoa, I wanted to see me free. Even though she didn't know me, I knew that I would be freed up to see her, but she had passed away. And that was another blow. But in that pain and suffering and grieving, I recognized my purpose. And for what my aunt told me, her last couple of months, she didn't want to travel nowhere. All of a sudden, she stood up in her bed and said, "I want to go see my grandson." So she knew who I was, but she said she wanted to come see me to visit me. But then by the time she got there, I was, my dad.
Yeah.
The point being from this is that when I do my motivational speakings or my transformational speaking sessions, and when people ask me, I always tell them my grandmother gave me my first audition.
Wow.
And because of her, And because of what I'm doing there, it's not trying to be a celebrity or be famous. It's simply because my grandma sacrificed her last moment to show me my purpose. And I landed my first independent film with the biggest production company in the DMV area, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia. The year I got out of prison. I got out of prison February 18, 2009, and I landed my first role November of 2009, and been going ever since.
And now we'll take a brief pause for a word from our sponsor.
Amazing story. I can relate on some level, because I when someone experiences profound losses, it cracks something open. There's that saying that your cracks are the way the light gets in, but I think it's the opposite. I think your cracks are the places that let your inner light out. And I don't know if you know, but I lost my son to brain cancer when he was just 13 years old. And I was a single father. He was my only child. And so I can feel your pain as a son who lost his father. And I can feel your pain around brain cancer and the loss of your beloved grandmother. May their memories be for blessing. And I know what kind of metamorphosis a person goes through out of those losses. And I've seen it go both ways. And I'm so proud of you that you listened to that calling, and it has led you to this moment. You are amazing. Just to see you from a distance. This is the first time you and I have ever had an engagement of this level of conversation. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of resonance there for me in your story. So thank you for sharing that. What do you find in terms of your metamorphosis? I think certainly incarceration will change a person. I've never been in that situation, but was that the most pivotal experience for you, do you think, outside of the losses?
Yeah. I mean, when you're away from the world that long, I mean, almost 8 years, and I wasn't in a little county jail. I was in penitentiary. Barbed wire fences, killers, and all of the menaces of the underworld. It was yeah. I mean, but see, a lot of people go to prison and not built for that. It's just because that's what they got because of their time or for their crime. See, I was already in the streets, hardcore, chaotic, violent stuff. So I didn't have to prepare or build myself up. The only thing for me to do is just turn my life around, because a lot of time you go to prison, you try to become tough, and you exceed what needed to be done to be changed. And I always been very smart, did a lot of reading, even when I was, in the street, and definitely when I came into prison. It's funny because we'd have these guys get locked up for 3 or 4 years, Wall Street, corporate America guys, and they said to me and my, a lot of my homies from, the gang that I was in was in there as well, or affiliated. So they used to pay us, to protect them and stuff. But one day I met this guy, and I mean, he was just brilliant, from Yale, corporate America, Wall Street, whatever. And he came to me and we were just talking. He was like, if anybody was protect me, I wanted to be you because I heard about you, whatever. Because I'll buy you whatever you want from commissary. I got plenty of money. I said, I don't want your money. I want your brain. I want to change. He would tell me what kind of necktie to wear, what it means, how to shake a certain handshake, from the Lions partner to all the stuff to certain people, organizations, because they know, okay, this guy been somewhere. The language, the articulation. That's why a lot of people, who like look at me like, the way you speak, the way you talk, your aura, your energy is nothing like your past. But see, that's God's grace. That's why I give him the glory thing that I do. And I think, too, my major metamorphosis came not just from prison. My daughter was born in 2010, so I became a dad instantly, like the year after. And when I saw her, it was like the frosting on the cake. So I would say prison, my grandma experience was the cake, and my daughter was the frosting. And That's where it came to. I knew then that it wouldn't bother me anymore. Whatever decision I make, whatever step that I take, it will not only affect me, but affect my future, my legacy.
Yeah.
And that's why when you talk about, you said about you losing your son, I can't even imagine losing my daughter. And so I want to tell you, man, just for this moment, and I'm just a God-with person, bro. Uh, that's why God got so many things for you, because for God to take away your son for a purpose. No, God make no mistakes. He's not suffering no more. He's up there with my dad and my grandma and all other families. But it made you who you are. There's a certain type of pain that only certain people can experience, because that's the story of a testimony we can tell. That's why the Bible says many was called, but few was chosen. And, you entrusted in that. Everybody's not made to be great. Everybody's not made to go to heaven. Everybody's not made to change. A lot of people is going to die the way they are. And subsequently, we look at, the news and the media, but it's brothers like you. And I just, like I said, I just met you, but I told you I'm inspired by you. And I didn't know anything about your son. And I know why I was inspired by you. It's because you've been through a pain that I've been through. I've seen people get their head blown off right in front of my face, like some of my close friends, to where a guy would come in and says, "Hey, how you doing?" Call my street name. You might want to step out for a second, because they respected me. And I knew then, when he looked at the guy behind me, the guy that I obviously know cool with, I say, somewhere in the line, this guy done messed up. You step out, boom. That's the life that I live. I've seen more killings than most people have seen on TV.
Yeah.
So I understand death. I understand war. Now I want to understand peace. I want to understand love. I want to understand how to, instead of begging the streets, to beg for God. Instead of going to war, bringing peace and extending life. So when I meet people like you, it lets me know that I'm going the right direction.
Well, I feel the same way, brother. I do. And it's, I look at my past. I'm 55 years old. And, when you've lived, I've lived more than half a century. I blink and it's gone. But, I've lived a life of privilege. I've lived all over the world. My father was a diplomat for the U.S. government, so I lived in many countries. Ooh. And I got to bear witness to the human condition. I've seen people murdered in front of me as well. Not to the degree that you have, again, not to compare, but it does change a person. And when it's not a movie and it's raw and real and you smell it, it's very distinctive experience that I think does contribute to the shaping of a soul. And, I don't feel, in some way, yes, I lost my son physically, but our relationship is deeper than it ever was. I didn't lose him spiritually. The science of physics has proven that energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. It just changes its form. And we experience that when we're in the physical, right? That's what this whole conversation about metamorphosis is about. It's that you are, whether you are in the physical or whether you are in the spiritual, you are pure energy. And you have the capacity to transform. And so Cameron is with me. I have no doubt that his hand is in our meeting. His hand is in every aspect of the blessings that I've enjoyed since his transition into the spiritual. But there's so much good happening around us. There is transformation. There is blessing. There is joy to be found around us if we would only see it. I feel you as a deeply spiritual being, and you're tapped strongly into that that's your root frequency, it feels like. Talk a little bit about how that informs you, not only as a man, as a Black man, as an American man, as an artist.
With me as a Black man, from that perspective, the world wants to be divided upon color. And I looked at myself, yes, I'm proud to be a Black man. I'm proud to be a Native American. I'm both.
Beautiful.
I'm Blackfoot. I'm Chickasaw. I'm a Chickasaw, and I'm also got some Cherokee in me. But the one thing I realize is that the biggest race is the human race, and that's the energy that I come from. With me, um, God allows me to see things in a way that the world can't see it, and that's because the world lenses cannot even compromise itself to understand the power of God and energy and spirituality of life. For me, without energy, without that vibe, without that aura, without that clear destination of focus, one cannot get to know themselves. We tend to find out that the world energy wants to be consumed in what they want to know and what they want to be, but what God wants to be, our own purpose driven, our own destiny, that comes from within. And until we acknowledge that, you cannot not acknowledge anything outside of the world. For we're not placed on this earth to become the earth. We are placed here as a counterpart in reviving the positivity, reviving the energy, the spirituality, because this is just a vessel. You know, your son, my grandma, my dad, you know, anybody else that you lost. It's the spirit that we've been talking the whole time. And just the identification of the spirit is this shell that we're in. So with me, when I see a person, I automatically know if they are real, if they're not real, if they unbalanced, if their elevation is limited, because I tell them about it. I refuse to be mediocre. Mediocrity is not even in my DNA. It's not even in my atmosphere because we don't serve a mediocre God. We serve a God of greatness. No, there's no limit. There's no, even infinity is not even a big enough word to explain the expansion of his power. And I'm a part of that power. I'm a part of that cloth. It's like you are. That's how we're able to do the things that we do. Really look at our lives, the things we've been through. The average person would have been to be decapitated from their way of thinking or their sanity, and we're able to stand here strong, give God praise, and exchange those energies. Because when we exchange those energies, it becomes bigger. It's like you said, hey, I have a brick to add to your building. I have a brick to add to your building. And so you know the building's been built rather than being a person. Negativity do not construct. Negativity destruct. Deconstruct. So I'm about building. And if anybody who's not about that, you know, I can't hate them if you haven't hate in your heart, but it can't be a part of what I'm building. So my energy, it never let me wrong. And that's because it comes from a God-driven place in which I know that as long as I stay focused on what he wants me to do, you know, the Bible says, obedience is better than sacrifice. The reason why is because we tend to sacrifice for the wrong things, and then our energy has to be reset or replenished because of that wrong decision to bring us back to point A to start over again. But when you're obedient, to God, you've been obedient to his grace, his mercy, his truth. As the Bible said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And I remember that the way, the truth, and the light. In order for me to find my way, I need the light. In order for me to trust the light, I have to trust God. And with that energy, brother, the energy you have, we are unstoppable. And not even death itself can stop what God has poured into us.
Your generous sponsorship and individual support of the Lost Traveler podcast benefits the Lost Travelers Club, a charitable project under the fiscal sponsorship of United Charitable, a nonprofit 501c3 organization. The Lost Travelers Club focuses primarily on the needs of parents who have outlived their beloved children. We recently launched our new Brain Candy Project wing, providing art supplies to children still struggling with critical or terminal health-related conditions. We hope to raise enough funds to launch Brain Candy, an arts and literature magazine created by and for these young people. Find out more at www.braincandy.online. Thank you.
Fantastic. You know, I mentor a lot of young actors, and there's always a question of, do I go to college or do I go to graduate school for studying theater? And I did. I went to graduate school. I was given an opportunity that I didn't pass up. And My answer to them is master classes. Do master classes.
Yeah.
Start working, because your best classroom is going to be on the set.
Oh my God. Like, I said to everybody. Oh my God. I said to everybody, God's my witness. When I was on Empire, you got Taraji, Terrence, Forrest Whitaker, Felicia Rashad. When I got my SAG as a building House of Cards, and matter of fact, also I took master class under Kevin Spacey, and we already know his situation, whatever. With him as far as the acting part, you cannot deny the brilliance of this man. That's to learn from him on House of Cards, it's like again, I got my SAG ability. It was far beyond like whoa. I mean, the way he get into the character, the way he draw, because we are the anchor and the navigator of the scene. When the audience look at us, they like Damien Fox say, they supposed to want to go where we want to go. And Samuel Jackson said the same thing. Never lose your audience. So what is it about us? Curiosity. When people are curious, what are you going to do next? What's she going to do next? Is it going to be? That's what I said to myself. Curiosity, and to keep that for so long, you have to be trained. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I was born to be an actor." You can have all the time in the world. If it's not strategically used or honed at the right time, you look worse than a person who was never, quote unquote, born as an actor. And
That's right.
I think a lot of people did it for the wrong reason. I've seen people from Robert De Niro and everybody else saying becoming a famous or celebrity or rich, that's just a extra blessing. You have to love the arts. And when you love the arts, that passion, that well, of course you're going to be successful. But don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the fame. Don't worry about the red carpets and having a license follow. Just do the work. Just train. Let God take care of the rest. So, as I said in my speech, when I was at the Newsom Awards, which was very exciting to be honored and, to be blessed by Dr. Bobby Jones, who's an icon in the gospel world.
Congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you, brother. My 5th time winning, man. 5th time in a row, all God. And the one thing I learned is this right here is that I don't do it for the publicity. I don't do it for the fame. I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to make God famous. So we need more of God. And the bigger thing of acting is not the actual main vehicle. The main vehicle is my testimony, just showing that I want people to see me and say, hey, you know what? I don't have to rob nobody. I don't have to gangbang. I don't have to kill nobody. I don't have to use drugs or sell drugs. I don't have to rob or, I can do this. And I felt like when I did all that time, I did it for a lot of people. So when I see young people, I tell them, look, I already did the time for you. Let me tell you what you can do. Because prison is like Wall Street and prisons are like stocks. Become a stock of your own purpose and let God be your lead. Don't become a stock in prison, because then the warden's going to be your lead. You have an opportunity to change yourself and go the right direction, because life is short. We know that. It is forever, but for what people know is life. If we don't have the gratitude, the honor, the integrity, and sincerity to accept life for what it is, to make the best of what it is, and pay it forward. I say pay it forward.
That's right.
I tell people that all the time. That's what I do. God is going to continue to smile upon us. And when our time comes, our, destination in the kingdom is going to be so, so beautiful, because the energy is already there.
It's already there. We're already here if we choose to see it. I used to have deep spiritual conversations with Cameron, my son. And it was about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months before he transitioned. And I don't even know how the subject came up. But he was a very enlightened person, as you can imagine.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, he knew from the age of 7 that he wasn't going to grow up. I mean, he had been informed.
Oh, wow.
And so we were talking about the concept of heaven and hell. And I said, what do you think about all that, honey? And he said, well, Papa, I don't think it's a place you go after you die. I think it's a life you choose to make while you're still here. You're either living a life that's heavenly or a life that's from hell, and it's all your choice. And I said, I think I agree with you. Give me an example of somebody who lives a heavenly life. He said, well, we do, Papa. And this was a at that time 12-year-old child who was physically expiring in the process and had been through chemo and radiation and, you know, had worked so hard. And he believed he had a heavenly life, you know?
Wow,
and that was, to me, he was a channel for something divine. He was speaking in a godly way. He was saying,
"Yo, yes,
the message is, Papa, you know, you're already in heaven if you choose to see it. This is a beautiful world full of beautiful people and beautiful things. And the glory is here. It's not outside of us. It's not in, you know, way out in space or you know, it's right here where you are." You know, one of the things I want to talk to you about, you know, both of us are very positive people and very spiritual people. And one of the things that I see a lot of young men, especially, struggling with is part of the cultural conversation right now around toxic masculinity.
Yes.
And you mentioned having worked with Kevin Spacey. You know, a conversation that I'm always having with fellow artists is, how do you and can you separate the art from the individual, the personal, private life of an individual versus the art that they create? What do you think about that?
With me, acting is it has to be like a job. It's not like a 9 to 5, of course, because the hours and what we do.
A lot
but
more.
It's sort of like, but it's sort of like the best I could put it. When I go to, I'm just using an example. Let's say if I was a pizza maker, you know, when I go to let's say it's Domino's, you smell the cheese, you smell the sauce, you know, you see the pans, the flipping of the dough. It's your environment, your culture. But when you come home, you're not making pieces. You're not making a regular dinner. You're back home, you're back in your comfort zone. So what I do is, with my energies from acting to the character, I look at the environmental state. I know in this environment, I can't be a pizza man. I have to be a father. I have to be, you know what I mean? And then when I get to the pizza place, I'm a pizza maker. Environmental. When people don't understand the environment and they go off the character, I believe it's when they get lost in that transition. I have to bring the character home, or I don't know when to turn it off. So I look at the environment. That's what works for me anyway. Mm-hmm. That's typically what helps with the bring the character to life. That's why one of the top lessons that I learned in all my acting training is scene study. What is it about this lamp, this picture? What is it about, you know, the way the water drips this faucet to make this place what it is or where I'm at? How does it make me feel being a certain temperature or a certain part of the room or the color? Is earth tone? Is the way he's loud or radiant color? And again, it goes with energy. Energy to me shouldn't have no entitlement of just one thing. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, energy is this." No, energy. That's what energy is. It becomes what it attaches to. So my thing is, what is my attachment to my character and to my reality? And once I understand that, I have full control.
Beautiful.
Shadow and Light, LLC was established by Dave Roberts and Reverend Patty Farino, co-authors of When the Psychology Professor Met the Minister. Their mission is to empower individuals to transcend life challenges by integrating spiritual practices with psychology to achieve peace. They are available for individualized spiritual counseling, virtual or in-person presentations and workshops to universities, organizations, and other interested groups, virtual or in-person book club meetings. For further information, go to psychologyprofessorandminister.com.
Well, that's it. And death is really an illusion. If you think about it,
thank you.
You know, it's an illusion that has been, I think, culturally drummed into us. I have not experienced a culture yet that does death well, in terms of how we hold it and how we honor it. That process, it's a process, you know. And the truth of the matter, as I see it, is that, you know, if those people that we have lost were meant to still be here, they would be. And it's a simple truth. But no matter if somebody goes by the hand of another, by their own hand, by a dread disease, or by war, that was their way and their time, simply put. And those that are still here in the physical, we strive to make sense of it, to make it into something logical.
Yes.
But it is so beyond the logical. And if we all tap into that divine spark that you're talking about, that light, right, that we are part of, not separate from, you know,
exactly.
This is a big issue I have with a lot of religious institutions, is that they segregate us from what they call God. And I don't believe that we are separate from. We are part of one. God is one. God is everything.
Exactly.
Together. We are all bricks in the building, right?
Yeah, we are. I mean, you know, what I told somebody is that the only two reasons why people die is for two reasons. I also believe this.
Yeah, the purpose is to teach us how to handle death too. Sometimes, you know, when you think of children,
exactly,
instance, you know, who haven't even found their purpose yet. I know that Cameron had a purpose, and he is still fulfilling that purpose.
And I'm sure that God revealed to him somewhere along the line, but even before you even knew, he revealed to him that, because everybody's not made to grow old.
Yeah.
Some people only here for a moment. And how would your life have been if he was still here versus him not being physically, but then you really feel him spiritually, as you're saying? Again, the obedience of that, not the sacrifice, the obedience of that. Look who you are now, man. I mean, you're doing great things. You're part of a energized culture that's not traditionalized by the world. I mean, to me, that's one of the most greatest captivating milestones that one can endure, and actually be a witness and attest to that.
I'll tell you what, you and I would not have met. We would not be having this conversation. This podcast would not exist. You would be in a different place completely had your father stuck around, and your grandmother. Right?
Exactly.
And your friends who were murdered in front of you. I mean, this is the thing. It's hard. It's a hard thing to wrap around. But I think once you get it, once you understand what you're talking about, it opens you up to a whole new perspective in the way that you handle the world and yourself.
But one thing I've learned to do, I've learned to turn the noise of the world off when need be.
How do you do that?
I have a laser focus with God and the energy that He puts into me. As an artist, people think acting is just all about entertainment. To explore another person's life, emotions, their way of thinking. And I had a debate with somebody. Some woman act like she's a big time director, and I looked at her back and I'm just like, no wonder you stagnant in the same spot. I honestly believe there's no way you become a prominent actor for a character by having a little bit of you in the character. Now, what I mean is that preparation. You want to find a reality, because a lot of times you can find something in the context of the character or the script that relies to your lifestyle. But ultimately, when you get to the finishing product, they're not hiring Charles D. Clark or Henry Cameron Allen. They're hiring the person in their script. And once you absorb everything, you are no longer you.
That's right.
You have to become them. I'm not auditioning to become me. So again, that's where the energy comes from. I find the energy in that character. And if it meant for me to be negative because it's a story behind it, or some kind of redemption or entertainment, whatever the case may be, then, and I'm a naturally positive person, I have to set myself, my energy, put it on hold to get into this negative space. Because if I was Charles D. Clark playing this, you would know that Charles D. Clark is playing this because my positive energy would allow that.
That's right.
So I'm able to decipher and able to dissect and move around things that's needed to protect my real identity, my real peace. Because some of these roles you take, man, it would drain you. It would rob you from who you really are. And you know this. I mean, come on, man. You know this.
That is the truth. You know, when I was in Minneapolis, when I was still acting, I was asked to take on a role. It was for a company called In the Heart of the Beast, Puppet and Mask Theater. And it was based on a true story about this guy from Lincoln, Nebraska, who was the Grand Dragon of the Klan. He was in the Nazi Brotherhood. He had a dial a racist hotline. He was as putrid a soul as you can imagine. And he went through a transformation, a complete metamorphosis. It's a true story. And it was because of that metamorphosis that I took the role. Because for me, just to play, an embodiment of what people might call evil, I can go to some dark places. I can find somewhere that frequency, that depth in my soul. Not exactly that, but I can find things that can allow me to perform that and present that. But because he had redemption in his story, and that made it more possible for me to play his truth. And it made a much richer experience. Do you find that especially in the medium that you work in, and you mostly in film, right?
Yeah. I'm getting more to TV. Yeah, the biggest television primetime show I've been on, of course, Empire. That's will always be my highlight. Mostly film. It's funny you said about the role you played. I mean, I played Brutus in Vault Call, which is about to be a series, Vault Call Origin. Brutus is a diabolical, heartless, unconscious being. Literally, he drank whiskey. He's the main, well, not the head guy, but next to the head guy. He do all his dirty work, killing people and torturing them and all this other stuff. And, I really had to become a method actor. So, and I'm certain that you are too. I can tell.
I am.
We're the type of people, like, if we're playing an Undertaker, I don't just say I'm gonna put on a black suit and look all eerie. I would literally go to a funeral home, ask, could I, volunteer to understand the smell, to see whatever, because that's the way you're gonna do the character. So my point being is that we have a great responsibility, and sometimes we have to go to those dark places. Look, everything can't be good. How can you understand what's wrong or what's good without presenting the two? So as actors, we're supposed to be able to express those things creatively without a penalty. But when you play it so well, I mean, I know a lot of my colleagues who they were getting death threats because certain roles they played. And I was like, you must really played it well, because if people really believing that you're like that. And then when you meet them in person, it's like, oh my God, you're so nice, you're so spiritual. But in that show, whatever, you was an asshole. Like, what? That's acting. That's great acting.
That's right. Well, acting is not pretending to be somebody you're not. Acting is finding the truth in the character that you're portraying. And even if they are a dark character who are making some bad choices, I think we have to find something to love in them in order to portray them. We have to remember that no matter how bad they are, they were once an innocent child. What might have happened in their foundation, what might have happened in their childhood that led them to that life. Because there's always going to be, as you and I both know, there's going to be that turning point, right? That pivots a person in one, either toward the light or away from it into shadow.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And to be able to look compassionately on the character that you're playing rather than just play them for the badness that they are in the script.
Exactly.
You have to make them multidimensional. That's the only way it's going to work, is if you can find something to love about this being, right?
Yep.
And whether or not the story leads them to redemption, you get to do that. The audience doesn't even have to know.
That's true. That's a true story. And a lot of people don't understand it. I mean, people look, they see us, whether you're directing or a producer or an actor or a grip or a lighting, say whatever. They don't understand. They just, what they see on TV is a finished product. They don't understand the long hours of to prepare. Anybody, and I tell people all the time, oh, I know my lines, but do you know the character?
That's right.
The script is just a blueprint. Sometimes you have to know, that's where training comes in. You have to know when, okay, sometimes they'll let people, the director let you play around with the lines, as long as you don't stray too much away from the context. But ultimately, our job is to make it our own. The director might, and from a director, that's why I say you understand more because you've been on both sides of the fence. A lot of directors that I've worked with, I'm just like, have you ever acted before? I'm like, no, they don't understand. You have to be both to really understand. That's why I say much respect. So
thank you. Well, I've said to you before our interview that I feel that I'm a better director for having been an actor because I know the process. And I know the work, what the audience sees is just the tip of the iceberg of the massive iceberg of work that goes into, including training. Tell me a little bit about where you have in your journey from getting out of prison into acting. Where did you go for training?
So my first introduction to training was Masterclass. Samuel Jackson, they was in the beta stage, so it wasn't even public. And I was one of the blessed people. I won't say luck because there's no luck when it comes to God. I was blessed to be in the beta stage and actually take the classes live. Not there, but like on the video with Samuel Jackson as he was recording for their launch. And the experience was amazing. So Samuel Jackson, I mean, that's by itself, Masterclass. I mean, that's not even, and then I went to the Theater and Lab School of Dramatic Arts in D.C., which is the second best school in D.C., because you got Howard there, University, with Kevin Boswick and them went to.
Sure.
And and then I took some individual workshop classes with Tay Diggs. And right now I'm attending online, of course, Zoom, of course, a couple of courses at Juilliard Arts.
Wonderful.
So, So, and I'm going to say probably the next 2 months, hopefully I get into training school up in LA.
But first, we'll take a brief pause for a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Johansson, and this is My Little House.
My Little House is an interactive, multisensory educational felt toy that I invented to help develop children's language skills.
I love My Little House.
I've been working as a speech therapist for over 20 years. So then I just thought, wouldn't it be great if I could just take this one-dimensional board and make it into an actual three-dimensional toy? How cool would that be?
That's the idea behind My Little House. You can spread it out flat like a 4-panel felt board, or here's the cool part. In the blink of an eye, My Little House easily converts into a 3-dimensional reversible house. My Little House comes with 36 felt cutout pieces that match outlines in 8 colorful rooms. And they're felt, so they stick. Each piece inside My Little House has been placed with purpose.
But My Little House isn't just for kids on the spectrum or with significant disorders. It's also for typically developing 2 to 5-year-olds. It's a fun toy. I always say to my kids, when you get stuck, you have to ask for help. Can you tell me what you see on top of the refrigerator?
Apple.
I know that my little house is going to make a difference in thousands of children's lives. I just need your help in getting it out there. Thank you so much for listening.
For more information about My Little House, My Little Farm, My Little Zoo, and other smart felt toys, visit www.smartfelttoys.com.
Do you think that the roles that are available to you are changing because of your personal metamorphosis? Do you think that the roles that are being made available to you?
It's like, you know what? It's like you was in a conversation with me and my agent. I got two of them, but my main agent, where she said, Charles, when you first got into this industry, you would get like a little bit, auditions or the guest featured or cameos. And now I'm auditioning for, co-starring roles and lead roles. And I think people see that because my message on social media, we all know social media is powerful. I mean, this is what it is. It's social media. It's more, and when I say this is from a deep perspective. Social media has become the new reality. Like, I know people, when Instagram was down for 3 days, they almost lost their freaking mind.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, oh my God, what's going on? It's like, oh my, really? So with, and then one of those things too, you never know who's watching. A lot of people that I've met, icons, and talked to and connected with, watch me for 2 or 3 years to see my consistency, to see my growth. So yes, and that's what metamorphosis is. It's growth. It's you put a seed in the ground. Are you remain a seed, or you gonna break the ground? Mm-hmm. And even a seed got space. I tell people all the time, a seed cannot grow unless it's buried. So when you are buried with the attacks, when you are buried with what you think is traps from the enemy, and take it for what it's worth. You're being buried to grow, to harvest your blessings. And I think people see that. They see my energy. They understand my energy. As an actor, we deal with a lot. You know this. As a director, that's a director. I mean, look, you can be Denzel, you can be Tom Hanks, and I've heard them say in the interviews, you're only as good as your director. I've heard all the greats say that. It's your job to make us the best that we can be for the people to respond to, because you understand the eyes of the audience. Even as an actor, outside of my testimony, you have to grow as an actor. You have to be receptive to the directions, back to one, 86 this, just learn the lingo. It might be something you might not agree with, but the director, he's, hey, I need you to do it this way. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of, reverence with that. That's why one of the things I like is Martin Scorsese and how he worked with, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, Leonardo DiCaprio, because they have this understanding. They have this, alignment. That's what I mean, spiritual alignment. And when you have a director and an actor or actress have a spiritual alignment, it makes that product just vibrant. When you go to the movie screen, you know the first 30 seconds, this will be a tearjerker, this could be a true comedy, or it could be a drama, a drama in a comedy which we call a dramedy. So all what I'm saying is that I want my growth as a man of God, as a human being, as a testament, and as an artist. I want it to be with clarity, simplicity, because what I think was most of the world in the growth and metamorphosis is that we make it too difficult for people to receive. And if I can touch your life with my growth and with the arts that I've accumulated from training and my journey, I want to be inviting, comfortable enough for you to say, you know what? I want a little bit more of him. He's going somewhere. I want to follow where he's going, because I can't. Another great example. If my car breaks down, who do I trust to ride with without thinking they're going to kill me or go kidnap me, whatever? I'm simply saying is that trust and growth, trust in the energy, trust in the alignment, with simplicity, to me, is the ultimate piece to navigate into this world that we call Earth, to navigate in the life that we face tribulations and struggles. Because if you wasn't balanced, if you wasn't aligned with the energy and the spirit, you could have never accepted the fact that the spirit is still there rather than the physical with your son. And the same thing with me and my dad and my grandma and other people I lost. And because that we do understand both of those things, it's not so much of being like complex or being somewhat beyond optimistic. It's just simply saying that when I see you, it's a direct energy. When I see you, it's not something that I have to think twice about. I know that what I see is what it is. So that's my outtake in it.
Well, and that's great. And I think that's a big reason that a lot of actors put themselves out there in the public eye, advocating for things that they feel are right and good and true, because audiences will see them as their characters, as you said earlier, and they will define them by the characters that they're playing and not necessarily by who they are as a human being. How else are people to get to know your growth? And a seed also, it needs to be planted and buried, yes, but it also needs to break in order to grow.
It does.
And it needs sunlight. And where is it getting the sunlight from? Is it getting it from an artificial lamp, or is it getting it from the source? Right? There's a difference. There's a difference in the quality of growth. That's why you're putting yourself out there in a personal way is really important, I think. And I really value that. I value your energy and your labor and your time in order to let people get to know who you are as a person, because your authenticity is what people are going to resonate with. And that's, I think, what they're going to follow you.
Stories are at the very heart of what makes us human. We each have one, and we can learn and grow from listening to each other. The Listen podcast is an exploration of the stories of Americans abroad and how they got there. If you're curious about the world and hungry for community, check out their website at www.thelistenpodcast.com or their Facebook group at the Listen Podcast Community.
Right? And your daughter is going to look up to you, not for the roles that you played necessarily, but she's going to look up to you for how you have engaged with the world and as an example. So bravo.
I will be honest. My daughter have a lot of people owe her my daughter, because there's been times, situations. If I didn't have a daughter, I would have went back to prison or wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Because I think about her love or whatever. Because a lot of people, and I'm gonna be transparent. There are moments where I wish I can kill myself. Back in the day, it would have happened. And the only reason that beast will come out of me is if it's somebody that I love. I won't care who it is, family or no family. They'll be up out of here. But I've learned that you have to control certain things and certain energies or whatever. And I'm to the point in my life now, either you're with me or you're not. If you're not with me, then bye. I'm blocking you out. I'm not begging nobody or anybody for any type of attention or any type of whatever. I'm good in my life. I'm good in my lane. I want to see people to grow. And when we talk about social media stuff, when I do my videos and stuff, I'm the first to say I still curse here and there. I still have my moments. I still go off. I still, you know what I mean? And people love that, because a lot of people come on social media and they come with this church stuff and praising God. But behind the scenes, they are nothing like we are on social media. I am who I am on. That's why people love and respect me. I'm always going to make mistakes. I'm always going to sin, because that's part of nature. But the things I can change, I do change. And God knows my heart. So nobody come back and say, well, Charles is supposed to be this, be that, this. I put all my stuff out there. It's sort of like Slim Shady when he did 8 Miles. When he did the freestyle, he put his whole slate out there, and the guy couldn't say nothing.
That's right.
That's right. I've told people on social media, I had hundreds of people on the live. I feel like giving up sometimes. Sometimes I question God. Sometimes I'm ready to just rip a person's head off, because that's what I'm used to doing. And the deep thing is that I have no problem destroying a person. It's easy for me to do that. It's hard for me not to, because I have to think differently. And I know the devil uses people. It can be your friends, your family, your colleagues, people in acting, people you don't know, to take you off your square and make you jump. And I realized I got too much to lose. So if I'm going to lose everything, I'm going to go all out. So I have to keep myself away from stuff like that. So, the enemy is very tricky, but I'm trained from God. And to me, as long as I have that and the people in my life that I know that truly love me, because I got a big heart, man. I've helped so many people and been there for so many people. Yeah. And, they haven't been half of what I've done for them. But I can't have no hate in my heart, because people are who they are. So that's why God continued to bless me. And I'm going to continue to spread love. I'm going to continue to be positive. And whoever don't like it, hey, that's on them. I know my energy. I know. Yeah, that's right. Goodbye. No explanation. I used to explain to people why I cut them off. I'm in the point of my life now. Elevation. You know why I cut you off. So no explanation. Bye. God bless you.
I really appreciate that you said, that people who you resonate with, who are going to uplift you, who are going to be a positive energy around you, those people are welcome. And people who want to bring negativity and people who want to manipulate. You didn't say, if you're not with me, you're against me. And I appreciated you're not saying that. It's about self-empowerment to say, I am choosing to surround myself and my family and my space with people who are going to be positive forces with me, right? That's the focus. And you get to choose. I wish more people knew that. And even with family, there are a lot of toxic families out there, when we're talking about toxic masculinity, and we're talking about toxic femininity too, brother, I mean, it's all out there, and it's you're the one who gets to turn the dial if you're not with that frequency. And the more people who get that, the more people who are empowered by your story, bones, to, soup to nuts. I mean, it's all about you being authentic. And if you falter, how do you get back? Right? Those are life skills that every human being on the planet is learning in one measure or another. The question is, where are you learning it? Are you learning it from Instagram and YouTube, or are you learning it from the source? Are you learning it from the artificial light? Right? That the question is, how well are you learning it, and from whom? Right? And we all have life skills that we need to improve. That's what this whole podcast is about. That's what this whole series is about, is finding experts like yourself in certain life skills, right? You have mastered certain life skills. Nobody's a master of all of them. But I am very, very privileged and blessed to have found and continue to find people from every corner of the globe who have mastered life skills of one degree or another. That's a beautiful thing.
The biggest breakthrough in wellness in the past 50 years. Vox Life's wearable technology has no batteries, no wires, and no metals. When neuroreceptors on your feet or arms come into contact with the Vox HPT pattern, a neuroresponse is triggered, sending information to your central nervous system, helping regulate pain, maintain motor control, and balance. The effect is immediate, so you focus less on weathering through physical pain and discomfort and more on living a happier, healthier life. As a special promotion, our sponsor is donating 25% of your purchases through the following link to benefit the Lost Travelers Club and our new Brain Candy Project wing. Simply visit https://losttravelersclub-braincandyproject.voxlife.com. That's VOXXlife.com. It's a win-win.
I want to, before we wrap up, because this has been Solid hour. Can you believe it? It's gone by so fast.
Yeah.
I always end my episodes asking my guests to reflect on this past time that we've shared. And maybe it's something we haven't talked about yet, or maybe it's reflecting on something maybe we have talked about. But think of 3 things that you can offer to our listeners in 25 countries around the world, over 1,100 people right now listening. What are 3 practical tools that are in your kit now that you can share with other people, things that they can actively pursue to improve their life and maybe enforce their own metamorphosis?
The first thing I would say is that never let anyone devalue you and your purpose. That's the first thing. We allow people to do that, and we started to believe what people want us to believe for ourselves because they choose not to elevate. They choose to be who they are. That's the first thing. Another thing, the second thing is get to know yourself because a lot of people tend to know everything in this world, but they never know themselves. How many times have we actually looked in the mirror and said, you know what? I'm going to be great. I'm going to do something great today. I'm going to do a good deed. I'm going to do something to help change the world, make it a better place. Get to know yourself. So never let anybody devalue you, your purpose. Get to know yourself. And number 3, and I say this with everything that I do, which is the most important thing. And again, you don't have to be a perfect Christian and quote the scripture, because even the devil quotes scripture. I always tell people, let the scripture, let the Bible quote you. But always give God the glory. That's the biggest thing I tell people. And again, people think, oh, you get to know every church song and quotes, and you got to sound all articulate without it, but it's your actions, what you do, that shows. And God reveals everything to me. I know when they're not right, but I just smile, because I already know. No one is half the battle, right? So when you give God the glory, that's some of the benefits. It's not like say being psychic, but God will order back energy. The energy is unsettled. The energy is unbalanced. The energy is not pertaining to the materialistic nature or traditionalized ways of life as we know it, but how we should know it in a spiritual way. So, that's what it is. And I know you say 3. I want to give you a bonus one.
All right.
Never let anyone destroy your peace.
Period.
Period.
Beautiful. Listen, I want to have you back for a part 2 because we didn't even touch on how we met through an animal-based eating group. Talk about metamorphosis. Talk about a change in our physicality. We're both big men. How tall are you?
6'1".
Okay, 6'1". I'm 6'3", and I was a big guy, carried a lot.
But you just wasn't big for nothing. I mean, we call gargantuan. We barbarians. We are warriors. When people see you, like, okay, you know what I mean. I get it. Yeah, I mean that's how I get out of my roles. Because my size and stuff. Even though I'm dropping and slimming down, not just for health reasons, but also too, when you get older, all that powerlifting and all that stuff, man. If you don't have time to take care of it, man, your body reconstructs itself until being flabby and everything else. But for the most part, I'm in great health, and I know that you are as well. And I just love my journey that I'm on and journey that you're on. But I tell you, man, I can't wait, man, till we do a project together and meet you in person. And thank you in person for being a part of my inspiration. So thank you again.
Well, likewise.
Having such an extravagant, radiant, positive vibes only platform. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. I appreciate your time and your spirit. You have a glow that is touching all corners of the world now. And like I said, I'm proud of you, and keep on keeping on. And I'm here if you ever need an ear. And it's a blessing to know you. And with that, we'll hang it up until the next time, part 2. And I'll look for your next project. Is there do you have a website where people can go and find you and find out your projects and your awards and everything you're working on?
Well, actually, I'm getting my website updated as well as my reel. But of course, Instagram, Charles D. Clark 1980. On Twitter, C. Clark Inspire, number 7. So CCLARKINSPIRE, the number 7. And of course, Facebook, Charles D. Clark. But I'm the only Charles D. Clark as an actor in the SAG. So if you Google me, all of my stuff will come up. And, I'm always looking to connect and network for the positive phase of life and elevation. So, and if they, if it's something that is really important, my email is cclarkinspire2016@gmail.com. Other than that, man, positive vibes, giving God the glory, elevation, man, victor's our story.
Beautiful. And I'll put those links in the information box along with the podcast. Yeah. So thank you, brother. God bless. And we'll talk real soon.
Love you, my brother. God bless.
You've been listening to Season 2 of the Lost Traveler Podcast with Henry Cameron Allen. Visit me online at www.henryallen.org. Thank you to my guests, and thank you for tuning in. Let's keep striving for a better world together.